Welcome back to Pina Cucina. Today we're going to be making almond biscotti. For this I always use a recipe because the biscuits are very temperamental, and if you don't get everything right, they're not going to work. So this is what we need. 1 cup of almonds, 6 eggs, a cup of custard sugar, 2.5 cups of plain flour, vanilla essence and almond essence, which is optional, but I like to put it in. So the first thing we start is the eggs. We always break them one at a time in a bowl. Even though they're fresh, you never know. Now we put a few drops of pure vanilla and a teaspoon of almond essence. Now I need to put this to whisk. Now while the eggs are whisking, you add the custard sugar a little bit at a time, just like that. There you go. It's nicely combined. So now just wait for the last drip. I like to add the next flour in by hand, fold it in. This is going to be a semi-liquid. You don't want it too soft, otherwise the almond will sink to the bottom. We need it to be all nice and thick. If you need a little extra flour, then you can add it. As I said before, depends on the egg. Sometimes you might get a different size and you have different moisture. Try not to knock the air out of it too much. The only thing it's got is eggs. It's got no other raising agent. It feels really lovely and soft. It feels like cream almost. But we need it to be a little bit thicker than that. This is really beautiful and very simple recipe. Very plain, no additives. It's good for the children as long as they can have nuts. I remember as a child we used to have them whenever it was Easter time. They used to make them. The whole town would smell of vanilla. It was just so beautiful. You might need a touch more flour. About another 1/4 cup. These eggs must have been bigger. This is ready for the almonds. The almonds are the last thing you put in. Otherwise you can't really mix it with all them in there. Now the recipe calls for 1 cup of almonds, but I like mine to be with lots of almonds. So this is the only part of the recipe that you can be generous with. You can put extra stuff in. So I'm putting 2 cups. And can you see how they don't sink to the bottom? That you know that it's ready. So all we need to do now is just stir them in. Okay, now this is ready for the tin. Now don't put too much in the tin because I find that if you put too much, then it doesn't cook well in the middle. So I'm only going to put a little bit. So this mixture, I put in 3 tins. And we're putting them in the oven at 180 degrees for about 35 minutes. And here it is. I've had it out of the oven for about half an hour. It's quite cool. So that's what it looks like. So now all we need to do now is to slice it very, very fine. I bought a slicer and I find that doing it by hand is so much better and easier. They need to be cool before you can cut them. Because if you try to cut them when they're hot, they're just going to crumble. Try and get them as fine as possible. If they're a little bit thicker, they're just as nice. And then you arrange them on the tray like this because we're going to toast them. This is the true biscotti in the sense of the word, that it's cooked twice because we're putting them into the oven to toast. So it's got to be on a very, very low oven, the lowest setting that you can possibly put on for about 4 hours. And that is what the word biscotti actually means, cooked twice. There we go. Now we put them back in the oven to toast for about another 4 hours at the lowest possible setting. And when they're cool, you just put them in an airtight container and they last for weeks. But I doubt it because they're so nice, everybody's going to want some. You just can't stop at one. And there we are. Biscotti alla mandorla.